I am Dr. H. Ratnam, Assistant Professor retired. I have been teaching these days English grammar and literature for the benefit of the students, those who are appearing for competitive examinations, and those who are sitting at home trying to learn English language. So I hope my classes or these videos will help you much. If you like these videos, you can share it and subscribe for your continuous programming. In my earlier class, I taught on the poetic terms for the benefit of those who are appearing for DSC, School Assistant English Examination. And so today also, I teach one subject. Earlier I taught on ballad. Today I want to teach on the satire. How satire is constructed, and the purpose of satires, and all these things let us discuss now today. The source is, of course, found in both poetry and prose. It has no set literary forms. A verse satire might be written in an ode, an elegy, ballad, or anything else. So that means there are no set rules for writing a satire. So in any form, in the form of an ode, in the form of a ballad, in the form of an elegy, in all these kinds of poetry, verses, we can find satires. A novel may be written more as a satire than as a story. Sometimes novels also are written as satires on particular things, particular institutions, particular events. Even what we call this, a novel. Novel also can be written as a satire than a story. Sometimes the story remains popular when its satirical basis is almost forgotten. So it's very ridiculous this is. Sometimes these satires are written, its satirical note is lost and the original story that remains for long. So that means people ignore sometimes the satirical effect, the satire or its effect. And so that means the story is very important. Don Quixote and Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels are some of the examples of this kind of satire. Don Quixote and Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels. Some plays are little more than satires on contemporary follies. They too often remain fresh when the conditions they mocked at have vanished. The meaning of these lines is, some plays are little more than satires on contemporary follies. Contemporary follies, this is a very important terminology. On what the satire must be written means on contemporary follies. Folly means wrong. Contemporary societal wrongs they take. The political parties they turn to follies. Follies means wrongs. Sociologists they do some wrongs. So all these follies are the subject matters for the satires. origin and meaning. The satire is of classical origin. The plays of the Greek Aristophanes are masterpieces in this vein. Aristophanes, mind you, he is one satirical writer, Greek writer, Aristophanes, Aristophanes. His writings is a classical writings. His time, the works written during Aristophanes are classical because they are the real origins of this modern satire. Aristophanes are masterpieces in this vein. Its chief exponents in Latin literature were Horace and Persius and Juvenal. Horace Walpole and Persius and Juvenal. These are the writers who were imitated all over Europe during and after the Renaissance. They see the model for Elizabethan and Augustan satires in England. Elizabethan time and Augustan time. The rulers of Queen Elizabeth rule and the rule of Augustus. During these periods, satires were very much in vogue. V-O-G-U-E. Vogue means very much in practice, existence. Etymologically, a satire is unpolished verse, and this has been characteristic of it in English literature. It may be defined as a literary composition where principal aim is to ridicule folly or vice. The principal aim of a satire is to ridicule a folly or a vice. Vice means bad or a bad quality. So, to remind them or to rectify them or to make changes in those vices. Vice, already I told you, is a kind of bad thing. Ridicule folly or vice. It is a light form of composition intended to keep the reader in a good humor even when it is at its most satirical way. So the satire must keep the reader or a viewer active and pleasant even he is attacked by this satirical way. So that is the real satire, the meaning of the real satire. It should not hurt the people. Ridicule or yes. The true end of satire, observes Dryden, is the amendment of vice by correction. So Dryden, in Dryden's opinion, the meaning of the satire is an amendment of a kind of correction. It is correction. The corrective method of a person or a system is called satire. So in the opinion of John Dryden, it is the meaning of the satire is to correct the purpose, to correct the vice. The true end of satire, observes Dryden, is the amendment of vice by correction. Some of the notable satires in English poetry are Dryden's Absalom and Achitophel. A competitive examination students must remember this. The name of the textbook is Absalom and Achitophel. That is the book written by Dryden. Absalom and Achitophel. It's a satirical book, satire on contemporary society. Dryden's Absalom and Achitophel, and his MacFlecknoe. This also is a satirical book. And Samuel Butler's Hudibras. Hudibras is a book written by Samuel Butler. This is also a satire. Samuel Butler's Hudibras. Alexander Pope's Dunciad, Dunciad, Dunciad is written by Alexander Pope. You competitive students must note down these books. It's very important, the authors and the books. Pope's Dunciad and Byron's Byron's Vision of Judgment. This is also a satirical book written by Byron. The first two poems were written in the iambic couplets, a meter then vividly used, which gives great concentration and force. The following celebrated passage from Dryden's MacFlucan, an attack on the poet Shadwell, a former friend turned enemy, illustrates the Augustan satirical method. Flecknoe, absolute monarch of the realm of nonsense, not given old, is considering who shall second him. So it is all they all royal coups, a kind of coups. Coups means who should come after the present king and who should not come and how to overthrow him. These are all coups of the kings in those days. So this is how some of the satires we have seen. Essentials of a good satire. So this is one side heading. Essentials of a good satire. The satire may be inspired by either a personal grievance or a passion for reform. This is very, very important. Students must take note of it. The satire may be inspired by either a personal grievance. So this is very important. Sometimes personal grievances are found in satires, or a passion for reform. Sometimes the writers have a passion to reform the certain situation through their writings. So that is the idea of the writers. Sometimes they do it. It is an attack on a person or a group of persons, or on a social evil or folly. Sometimes a person may be attacked, sometimes a group of persons may be attacked, sometimes on a evil in a society may be attacked, or on a folly in the society may be attacked through satire. So these are all the essentials. It is primarily light literature hovering at times on the confines of birdscape. It is in the next place intended to ridicule, not to abuse. The quality essential of the satire is not to ridicule or not to abuse. It's not for ridicule, it is not for abuse. Though it may often be bitter, sometimes the note given by a satirical writer may be very bitter, unable to digest it. But even then, it is primarily, in general, it hates the sin and not the sinner. That is the meaning. It hates the sin, not the sinner. So that means sinner must be corrected. Sinner must be given a chance that he may be corrected. He must shun sin. So likewise, the wrong must be shunned. Wrong must be left, and the wrongdoer must come into the fold of right doing. That is the work of satire. And it is more playful than hurtful. More playful than hurtful. It should not hurt a person. It should be playful. Even the person on whom the satire is made, he must take positively. So that way a satire must be constructed. Then hurtful. Pope, however, often erred in this respect, for in much of his works he showed himself venomous, malignant. These qualities of words attributed to Alexander Pope, because he used that kind of powerful language, hurt language. He hurts the people with language. So Pope is an exception for this. This does not mean that the satirist should mince matters. No. It does not mean that satirist should not mince with matters. Mincing means he should not mix with matters. He should not compromise with matters. Satire can be great, which is not forceful and outspoken, and some have been crushing. As Shelley said, Byron takes an aim that tempts to second blow. Dryden, perhaps very hardest and strongest words he used in his satire, but the fiber of satire was not lost. The structure of the satire was not lost. It's not like scolding. It's not like rebuking. It's only a kind of bringing some reformation in the person. So the satire, like an arrow, has to take the shortest route to its target. It must be less and concise so as to see a great deal in brief space. So in a small space, with small words, satirist must try to bring reform into the society. subjects of the satire. This is another side heading or small heading. Subjects of the satire. The satire's trade is censure. C-E-N-S-U-R-E, censure. Censure means cut or remove. He condemns whatever he does not approve. And each age has had its own set of vices. So that means he condemns whatever he does not approve. The writer, in the interest of the society, does not approve certain things, and so that he wants to bring reform into them. And each age has its own vices or follies. Each age, Elizabethan age has its own follies, and Victorian age has its own follies. The contemporary society today we see has its own follies, many vices. So writers try to reform them. Writers try to bring change into them. But it should not be taken as an attack on the people who trade with this kind of vices. They should not take in such a way. They should take satire as a reform that needs. The satire like the drama holds the mirror up to nature and lashes out at contemporary follies and foibles. F-O-I-B-L-E-S, foible means again same, folly and foible, same meaning. So the contemporary writer lashes on them, on those issues, and wants to bring a kind of change. Really we need a lot of satirical writings to bring reform into our society, but it is because of the autocratic regime that wants to crush the satirical writers, so that most of the people don't venture to write satires on contemporary issues. Chaucer and Langland attacked corruption in the church and other vices such as dishonesty on the part of the traders and men of law. So men sitting on the law benches, so that means law imposing people, lawyers, their corruption, and the corruption of the clergy, C-L-E-R-G-Y, clergy. Clergy means priests, corruption of the priests in the churches. So these are all the subject matters for the writers of satire. T.S. Eliot in modern times has written Murder in the Cathedral, or The Wasteland. These are all, these two are the satires on the society. The wasteland is not the land. It is the people who are waste, doing all unwanted things, ungodly things. So T.S. Eliot calls them as a wasteland. Murder in the Cathedral. So this is, cathedral means church. So a place, it should protect the people, but the people should not be murdered in a church. So that is murder in the cathedral. These are all satires, satirical writings. And Pope's rape of the lock also. It mirrors the way of the people lived in his own time. So that is, London was a fashionable city, and people were pursuing fashions, not passions, fashions, and artificiality, artificial living. And so that's all Alexander Pope ridiculed in his Rape of the Lock. So this is how satires are needed for the correction of the society and the people as well. So if you like this class on satire, you can share it to others and subscribe for your continuity. Well.